All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the Honeypoint 3D Meshmixer webinar for January 2016. I hope everybody had a good holiday season, a good New Year's, and you're ready to start 3D designing and 3D printing as like you've never done before in this new year. So welcome. We have a good number of people registered, so that's great. Hopefully you found the previous webinars of use. If just a little bit of house cleaning, if you want any of the previous links, you're free to email me. My email address is very easy. It's just nick@honeypoint3d.com. If you look on our, well, soon to be on our website, we just redid it this morning. If you have any friends who want to take the Meshmixer class or the Intro to 3D Printing class, we're kind of doing a special type thing. We are in the San Francisco Bay Area, and KQED, which is the largest public radio station in the United States, is doing their pledge drive, and they're going to be offering our class for free in return for donating to KQED. So you can also email me, but it should be tomorrow and on Thursday if people want to donate to a nice public radio station and get this class for free. So a little bit more house keeping. There is an ability for you to ask questions on the right hand of your screen there. So as always, I really want to make sure that you get your questions answered. We got some questions beforehand for the Meshmixer class, and so I will be sure to go over those. But if you have your own questions, I would much rather answer those than just talk at you. But actually, in the world of Meshmixer, not much has happened since December of 2015. It's been super quiet, and the Meshmixer team is, oh my God, Meshmixer 3.0 came out. Well, I'm super excited because I use Meshmixer all the time, and this is a major release. So we are totally going to be talking about that today. I'm super excited to bring that to you. For the class, I'm also working on updates to the course material online. So those will go out soon, and we'll send out an email to the whole class talking about when those updates are officially in the class. But this webinar will be a good entrance for you to understanding the improvements in Meshmixer 3.0. So let me switch to a different screen here and answer some of your questions. That's not the right screen. Here it is. So Henry asked a question. One thing I've been wondering about is what pointing device I prefer and why. So Henry uses a trackball for AutoCAD, but found that a Wacom tablet is better for Mudbox. Henry says, I refer to a mouse, but on screen the movements look more like a tablet. So let me come back here. Well, thank you. My mouse movements are all natural. They're not enhanced by a tablet at all. So I just use a mouse, and I use a really super nice mouse. This is the MX Master from Logitech on a nice kind of little gaming pad type thing, which gives it a really nice surface. So this is the setup that I use when I'm doing 3D scanning and I'm cleaning up the point clouds that are created. I can be super accurate to get just individual points if you have a very good surface like this with a good mouse. And so if you have a great mouse on a bad surface, it can have that effect. And getting a good thing like this with a bad mouse also doesn't really work. So a good mouse with a good surface, you can be very accurate. So that is what I use. I also have a touch PC. I have a Microsoft Surface. And those actually work surprisingly well with Meshmixer. You're able to just rotate by touching it and zoom in and zoom out by pinching. So sometimes if I'm working on that, I don't actually even use the mouse wheel. I can kind of reach out and zoom in and rotate around and kind of think about it with one hand and then go and mouse with the other. So that's kind of a way to do it as well. Put this back here. Okay, so Bill is asking some questions. Okay, yeah, so we can I can answer some of those. Let's see, Duet AstroPad integration as Wacom replacement. I don't know too much about that, but as a very general sense, Meshmixer does not support touch levels as far as I know. So you're really just interacting with a kind of a virtual pen on the screen, but that pen is not an airbrush. It doesn't have any sort of concept of flow or anything like that to push harder and softer. So I would think that just even a very low end touchpad or stylus pad that didn't even support touch levels would actually work just fine. Now, I may be wrong about that. I actually have a Wacom tablet at home. I could test that, but I don't believe that Meshmixer supports pressure levels to, you press harder and it's like turning up the strength. That'd be very cool. I can test that out, but I don't think that that's true. The other question that Bill had was batch and scripted processing of multiple steps, recording of steps for repetition. So I will get into that today a little bit. We've worked and talked with some people that are doing batch type things. Meshmixer does have an API that you can plug into where you can change the user interface. You can create your own little buttons that do a certain number of steps. No problem at all. Now, how far down into the program that goes, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll show you kind of where that is in the program later on. Let's go back to the previous questions and make sure everybody. So Fred asked a question that actually get asked quite a lot. So Fred's question was an easy way to align a surface on a model to a plane, pick 3 points on a surface, click, boom, aligned. I will totally be going over that. With Meshmixer 3, there is now a new tool that specifically helps with that. So I'll show, again, a couple of ways to do that. The old way that I talked about on a previous webinar where MagWeb, if you've gone on the forums, Gunter's work, talked about a kind of a 3-point leveling thing. I can very quickly show that, but we have a new align to target command that is very, very nice. So we'll go over all of that. And then, and then Bill asked about Meshmixer 3. So those were the pre-questions. Let me come back to you guys here. So those are the pre-questions. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask them. But let's go into some of the things I wanted to talk about Meshmixer. So let me share my screen here. And again, you will see I will go off into infinity for a second. Here we go. But let me bring up Meshmixer. Okay, so let's start going over the Meshmixer. I kind of make this a little bit smaller here so you guys can see it. There we go. Let's go over Meshmixer. So if you go to Meshmixer.com, you see that there's actually a brand new kind of reinvented site. It looks super nice, and so congrats to the Meshmixer team for doing that. Much better. It will get people to actually use the software more. It's a much more kind of professional-looking website, so that's wonderful. These are all links here, so if you click on something like design, it takes you to the design page, which I'm going to go over. If you click on health, there's a little case study here for prosthetics and orthotics. 3D printed legs, surgical training, planning. So it's kind of a neat thing to get people in the medical industry using Meshmixer. Go back here. And then for creativity. So this is goes to instructables.com. And with everything that is tagged with the tag of Meshmixer. So if you want some inspiration for what other people are doing, this is a great place to go. So, something like this, taking a rock, 3D scanning it of some sort. This person used 123D Catch and then putting a face onto the rock. Really cool, easy things for Meshmixer to do. So let me go back here. So this is the homepage of meshmixer.com. Now, if you click on download, this is the first place I would want you to go. I just went here and I saw, oh no, release notes, great. And then I just downloaded it and started playing with it. But it's really good to read the release notes, and we will be going through these in order to kind of talk about what each one of these does. But these are the release notes here. Everything from new complex objects, which I'll be talking about, to all sorts of improvements all around. So this is a large amount of changes that Ryan and others have done in Meshmixer. So that's great. I'm going to go back here. The forum is right here, so that's great. You know the forum. The video is very nice. So if you click on video, it takes you to the YouTube page for Meshmixer. Now you might think, yeah, not much of this is new. All of this is 1 month old, 1 month old. Meshmixer 3.0 just came out a couple days ago. They don't have any videos. Well, that's not true. So these first two right here that are 1 month old were actually created for Autodesk University in 2015 in December. So I got to see these videos. I talked with the Meshmixer team there. Super awesome. I said, please, please, please release these videos. So these two videos here, the prosthetic socket design and the Meshmixer AU, Autodesk University 2015 demo reel. This uses a lot of the new tools inside of Meshmixer. So I would really, really urge you to watch both of these. Don't be fooled by them being 1 month old. They are featuring a lot of the new tools inside of Meshmixer 3.0. They just decided not to release these videos until the software was actually ready. Makes sense? And also, I'm going to apologize beforehand. I'm going to come back here and stop sharing for a second. I have a little cold, so luckily you're not gonna get it. I'm not contagious, but I do have a little cough. Sound a little nasally, so if you hear me hitting this little mute button, I am going and coughing, and I don't want to spike your audio. So if my audio cuts out for a second, it's just because I'm going like this. So I try to take care of you. Anyway, so let's go back. So I'm going to go screen share again, off into infinity. Let's go back here. So that is the video. So be sure to click on this, and that's something you can learn a lot from. Actually, let me go back here. So these videos go pretty fast. So I'm going to click on one of these. The trick with these, I'm going to turn down the video here and just go somewhere like this. This is actually this is a cool part of the video where Meshmixer supports are used to create supports for a metal print, which is, to my knowledge, never been done before. So this is very, very cool. But anyway, in a lot of these, it's very difficult to see what's going on in the screen because it's going so super duper fast. So a couple tricks for this. So make sure that your quality is turned all the way up. What that does is it allows you to see more clearly what what words are being shown up here, so that when you pause it, you can see, oh, I'm in the complex tool, or I'm in the smoothing tool, or I'm in the transform tool. So that's one trick here. You can also take the speed down to even a quarter speed like this. And now when you click print or click, I'm big into 3D printing. When you click play, look, oh, it's so much super nicer and slower now. You can actually see what's going on. So that's a very nice thing to be able to drop the speed down here. So kind of a tip. Let's go back here. Okay. And just because I just like to see you as I do segues. So those are the videos. Now, there is a link on the design page that I'm going to show you right now that is very, very useful for seeing some of the kind of banner new features of Meshmixer. And I'm going to kind of talk through these very quick videos and show you what's happening so that you can understand what these tools do and how you might want to use them in your own workflow. So let me go back and share my screen. So on the Meshmixer homepage, Right here, we want to go down here to design. So we have a series of videos: 1 video, 2 video, 3 video, 4 video. So first, this is a super awesome thing that I'm going to show you later, improvements to the smoothing tool. So this is essentially showing that you can start out with a bracket like this, and as the text says, through using Meshmixer, you can refine that bracket to be 50% less weight or less material, while still ostensibly keeping strength, and that is through the new smoothing tool. So I'm going to click play, but I'm just going to zoom ahead to the really awesome part in all of this. So we have a bracket right here, and look at this. So if you know Meshmixer, you know that this is a super new thing. Voila. Right? So let me bring up Meshmixer and show you what this is about. Let me just bring in a plane like this, just a single-sided plane. I'm going to extrude it a tiny bit, just make it a little cube like that. Select an area on this, maybe extrude this out a little bit, clear that. Actually, I'm going to extrude this a little bit more, make it a little bit taller. Great. Then let's clear this a little bit on the side and extrude this out. Great. Can make this a little bit bigger so you all can see it. There we go. So we have a nice round thing. Let me go to the Meshmixer shader here. Okay. So you can see we have all these face groups. It's a nice kind of prismatic, rigid model. If you wanted to smooth this in the past, the smooth tools are absolutely viable. You can go here into brushes and do things like, robust smoothing and go around. But this isn't terribly accurate, and you could take some time to do all of this, right? But there are smooth tools in the select tool. So if we click on select, and we go to deform, in the past version of Meshmixer, this smooth tool was not, it was kind of hard to use. There were just 3 options, and it didn't really do what people thought. It was hard to use, and the smoothing didn't really take place all that easily. Well, here's a big difference. So I'm going to Control A to select everything because I want to smooth the entire thing. And now I'm going to go to deform to smooth. So instantly, you see a huge difference in the smoothing. When you ran the tool before, not much usually happened. You have some options here: shape preserving, uniform triangles, max smoothness. So the smoothing is the overall how much smoothing you want to do, right? So this is actually unsmoothing, so making things sharper. I need to figure out a workflow for this, but this is the power of the tool itself. So if the power is turned up to 1, now we can turn up the smoothing scale. So watch this, right? We can smooth this down into a little ghost with a nose right here, or not much, right? So this is a tiny bit of smoothing scale of 1, and a little bit more. So this would have been kind of hard to do in previous versions of Meshmixer, or would have taken a little while to do. And again, this works in the select tool, right? So if I'm going to select the whole thing and clear face groups. Okay, so we have just this. If I just go in and select this part of the model, I can go and smooth that part. Smoothing scale, super duper smooth, right? So it smooths that one part. That's okay. But some of the power with this is if you bring a model like this into Meshmixer, you can go to Edit to generate face groups. And you can go by, edge or normals now, which is kind of cool. But so edge, angle, right? So as you do this, you'll get more and more. And then as you go down, you get, even more. Every single polygon is is its own face group now. We don't really want that. So this is a model with pretty defined edges. So that's why not a lot of these are changing. But I'm just going to go like this, like all the way up, because what I want to do is smooth. I'm going to just go into the select tool, and remember, double clicking on a face group selects it. So I can double click on this, double click on this. You know, there's probably a lot of other ways to do this. I'm going to go around and select all of these like this. Right, so I've selected a little bit of those groups up here, and I can go modify, expand to groups. So what I've done is I've selected everything where I was touching on the group, right? And I can still go in and unselect areas if I want. But you kind of get where I'm going with this. The new smooth tool, and you know, let me just kind of go underneath here, very roughly say I don't want to smooth this little pillar that's coming out, but I want to smooth everything else. Deform to smooth. Smoothing scale more, right? So what this will do is this can do a good start to some smoothing. So we get some smoothing in. You know, the constraint rings say how much outwards or inwards the smoothing happens. So you can see as I do this, the ring is moving up between kind of the center between this area that's this boundary and this boundary. Or you move it down to say, you know, I want to smooth the entire thing. So we click accept to this, clear selection. It preserved the groups as well as it can. And now we can actually go in with something like a sculpt tool, you know, and go in and do a little bit more smoothing up here manually. Right, but this is a lot easier than how we would use that smoothing tool before. Right, and it gives you a lot more graceful smoothing down here on the bottom than you would get with the brush tool, unless you spend a lot of time on the one of these smoothing tools to get a really, really good effect. So woohoo, great for a smoothing tool. Oh, let's minimize this. So this is what this video talks about. You know, it kind of goes through and shows the before and after of the smoothing tool and shows that the weight reduction is significant with these metal printed parts. So this is another one, create connections. So this is the join tool, or what the Meshmixer team says, the Magic Auto Loft. So other tools like align and attract make it dead simple to adapt your existing designs to fit onto something else. So this is a very quick video of creating a little shoulder plate off of an actual, you know, 123D catch scan of a person. Again, you saw, let me actually go back since this is going kind of quickly. You saw here, oops, I think I pretend I'm in Meshmixer. So right here, you see that this face group, the edge was selected, and then the expand tool was used. Actually, let me go and show you what that is. Let me just bring in a sphere. So this little selection right here. So you see this expand mode, control or right click drag. So this it's actually holding down control because right clicking and dragging just moves. So if you hold down the control key and you click and drag, you actually expand the selection. So the way that that would work is, let's bring in a plane, replace it, extrude this up. Okay, so we would go in here and say edit, generate face groups. Right, so we have face groups on all sides right now. And I'm just going to go select this one, this one, this one, and this one, and say modify, expand to groups. So now those are selected. And if I smoothed it now, it would only smooth the corners. So what I want to do is control click and drag. And you see I'm holding down control and clicking and dragging to the right. It's expanding it past those groups. I'm using the groups as a starting place. And I'm just going one row in. If we turn on wireframe, one row in and one row in. And now if we do the smoothing tool with some bigger constraint rings right here. We're smoothing those down, right? We can do some different options right here, but the smoothing, if we kind of bring it right up here, let me go to shape preserving. Go right here. You can see that the smoothing is going up over the lip of it a tiny, tiny bit. So that is what is going on in this video. The edge is being selected, and then, oh, there we go. And then the selection is being kind of dragged inwards a tiny bit, and then the smoothing, the new smoothing tool is being used to make it nice and smooth. It's pretty awesome. So to go through this is an existing little mount that is going on, kind of positioning the mount in the right places, using a Boolean difference to cut the little pegs for the mount in there. And the pegs are in there. So those pegs were actually just hidden behind there. They were used. Let me kind of stop this. They were used to cut out of the mesh, but another copy of those pegs were put in to use as actual pegs after the cut was done. So if you see over here on the right-hand side, you can have multiple different objects. If you're doing like a Boolean difference or a subtraction, that tool, essentially the cutting tool, gets used up. So you usually want to create two of those objects or more so that one gets used up and you still have another one to play with later on, which is what we have right here. So this is a great example. Let me try to pause it right here. So right here, the top of this was created and the bottom of this was created, but the Meshmixer team deleted those things, leaving an open boundary here and an open boundary here. And you can use the join tool to join those two things together. So it is what they said, a magic auto loft, where you're lofting from one to another. And then you can use the soft transform tool to transform that in kind of a squishy way, you know, as normal based on the face groups and all that here. And then you get that. So that's pretty awesome too. You know, we see a lot more now new examples on the Meshmixer website for just things you can do, and it gives you ideas for how you can adapt this. So let's go and look at the last video here. Enhancing existing objects. So this, you could see the use case right here at the beginning of the video. Oh, tippy drill. And we don't like that. So this is a use case of using 123D Catch to create a model of a drill that's pretty accurate. Using probably the offset tool and you know, making different little caps, and again, you see a use of the smoothing tool right there. And actually, this isn't entirely obvious, but this was just a plane down here that, again, we did the join command to with some smoothing to create a plate. And of course, with the Autodesk logo here on the front to create a very nice little stand for this drill. And then this last one. So I need to create quite a number of videos on this. But multi-material printing, let me actually pause it right here. So these parts were printed on an Objet Connex printer that handles multiple materials beautifully. But multiple material printing is coming more and more to consumer uses. So I have a video in the main Meshmixer class about doing multiple bodies for 3D printing, and it was kind of not a bad set of videos, but it is kind of hacky. Let me go back and actually talk to you. It wasn't a bad video, but it was just kind of hard to do it. If you see that orange peel bunny on the front of the Meshmixer website, where they trace out kind of a swirling design on the bunny, and then print out that orange peel. If you wanted to print that in multiple materials, so you wanted the orange peel to be one color and the body of the bunny to be another, it's actually kind of hard to do that. You have to trace it out, extrude it down. You can't do a Boolean on it because it's exactly in the same position as where it's cutting out of. So you need to slightly rescale it. It worked, but not the most elegant of processes. So this new version of Meshmixer, you can see here, once I go back here, and we go back to the download button, that the very first thing that is listed in the changelog, once it comes up here, well, let me bring this up. It's being a little bit slow in the background. There we go. The very first thing that they talk about is the new complex objects. So complex, generate complex, split complex, export, all of these things, these four, all have to do with this new multi-material workflow. So this is a very fast example of creating some very tall little extrusions. And then, make soliding them together. And then duplicating that all the way around, that selection. But what this does is it allows you to cut out those areas. So you can see right there, those areas on the side, those face groups, will, in about a second or so, be cut out of the object, but still embedded in it. So let me stop there and go slightly back. So you see these green lines. Before Meshmixer 3.0, we did not have green lines to denote anything. It was just blue lines to denote open boundaries and nothing else. So these green lines are new. They represent complexes. So these are things that will automatically get subtracted out. Well, not automatically, but they will get subtracted out of the object, but are designed to be flush with the object they were taken out of. So kind of like a Boolean intersection, but you can do a lot more with them. So it's kind of a more advanced workflow for Boolean intersections. So you see, pause it right here, these guys right here were cut out of the side of this, but they're meant to print absolutely flush for printers that can do that. So pretty awesome. Okay. So in our remaining time, I haven't gotten any other questions, so I want to go through how to use some of these tools in Meshmixer 3.0 because a lot of them are pretty simple. The complex one is a little complex, so I'll kind of go over that one a little bit, but I would say wait for my video on that one to really understand how the complexes work. So let's jump back here and go all the way down the release notes. So I'll skip the complexes for now because I really want to do a good job in explaining how that works. And so I've played around it with a bit, but it is a little complex to understand. So I'm going to come out with a video on that. Align to target. So let me do this. Let me bring in the bunny and fix the bunny. So a lot of people say they don't even know how to use the align to target. So it's based on select. So you select something, and then you go to edit to align to target, and it's not available. Well, the key to this is target, right? You need to have a target set. So let's clear this. Let's bring in a plane and append it. And we're going to select the plane and just extrude it up. I should really have a default box, but okay. And then let's transform it and move it to the side. Oops. Transform it and move it to the side. Okay. There we go. So we have a bunny and a plane. Bunny and a plane. And this is also a shortcut. If your object, if you have different objects, you can't just click on your objects to switch between them. You don't need to actually go over to the object browser all that much. You can just click on them. That's kind of cool. So the attracted target requires a target. So what I want to do actually is with this plane, I want to transform this in some kind of arbitrary direction like this. And I want to hit this little magnet right here. So the magnet is like this. So that is now a target. It turns kind of transparent. And you see this little magnet is active. So now we go to the bunny. And if I go to the bunny and I select something on the bunny, I can now go to Edit to Align to Target. And the bunny will move over. So how did the bunny move over? You know, what did it do? Actually, let me cancel that out. So I selected on the back of the bunny. Let me actually go in and try it a different way. Let me select right on the ear of the bunny and go Edit, Align to Target. So you see that this ear, which is the one that I selected, went to the closest point on the, let me actually zoom in right here. This little selected part of the bunny went to the closest point on this and then aligned itself to it. That is how this tool works. I can then run this again. I can go into Edit to Align to Target. And you see the bunny moved a little bit more. I can say I want way more solve iterations. I want no tolerance and say improve. And the bunny moves a little bit more. The way to really do this, if you want to align this bunny, so I'm going to just do Control Z a few times till the bunny goes back, is I'm going to select, let's say, this part of the bunny. Actually, I'm not going to do this at all. I'm going to go T for transform. I'm going to do all the heavy lifting of this first. So I'm going to go and rotate the bunny so that it is fairly close to what I want to align to. So I'm kind of doing some of the solving myself. Great. Zoom in a little bit. So here I'm going to select the bottom of the bunny. Since the bottom of the bunny was filled in with the inspector tool, it is a face group, so I just double-clicked on that. Now I'm going to go Edit to Align to Target. So you could see green where the bunny was, solve iterations, improve solution, accept. And now I'm going to go here and turn off this target. So this was kind of hard to do in previous versions of Meshmixer. You could use pivots. You could try to do, aligning things to different frames, but it was kind of hard to do. And now you see that we have aligned the bottom of this bunny pretty darn accurately to the top of this plane. Now, again, it went down onto the top of this plane because this is where the closest was. If I had positioned the bunny over here, it would have had a different effect. So you have to kind of do the heavy lifting yourself, but then you can do this this align to target pretty easily. So we get a lot of people. Let me get rid of the bunny for right now. Go into this plane, and this plane isn't terribly detailed, so let me remesh it just a bit and duplicate it. Oops, clear it and duplicate it. Okay, and then transform this guy out. Okay, so I'm going to go in and sculpt with the draw command. And turn up refinement. So I'm making some things on here. And a lot of people ask, I'm going to go out of this and click on this and go back into sculpt. And I'm going to draw on this. Not on surface, on draw. Go click on this. So a lot of people say, I want to align these two things together. How would I do that? So the way that you would do that is, again, you would need to do the heavy lifting yourself. You turn on, I'm going to align it to this one. Like that. Go back here. And actually, you can just select the entire object. So I'm going to hit Control A, select the whole object, and go to Edit to Align to Target. So it didn't do it entirely accurately, but it did do it pretty well. And so I'm going to say more iterations with no tolerance, improved solution, a little bit better, right? So it's not going to be absolutely accurate because, while the bottoms are totally flat, the tops are different. So we click accept, turn off the target, and clear selection. So that's not a bad alignment. Not a bad alignment at all. So we have a question online from Fred. Ignoring the new, so his question is ignoring, let me go back here so I can talk to people. Ignoring the new features of 3.0, are the remaining aspects of version 3 sufficiently similar to the previous version to allow understanding the program via the Kickstarter course? Absolutely. These new tools don't change anything. They just add to it. So the aligning that I just showed you and the complex tool of where you do multi-body things, those will make those sections better in the Kickstarter course. So in the Kickstarter course, I have a section on how to align objects. And this is just an enhancement to it. It makes it so much easier. So that part will change, but only for the better. The complexes tool will help those with multi-material or people that want to just work with multiple bodies. It'll help them better. But nothing else has fundamentally changed. Thankfully, the 95% of the course is absolutely the same. These are just enhancements. There's no user interface change. These really are just incremental and very, very welcomed enhancements. So that's really good. If you're an educator or teaching this, you really won't notice any difference, except you'll just have a couple more options on there that you didn't have before. I guess another way to say that is no existing feature was changed, right? Existing features were enhanced, but the way that the features work is the way that they worked before, except a little bit better. So, and Fred said, thanks, you're welcome. All right, so let's go back here. I really want to get through this because there's awesome things to go through here. So that's the align tool, right? So, and then you can, do these multi-selections right here, select both objects in here and go to analysis and do the things like the deviation, right? So a lot of people want to see where things are different. This is the same tool as was always there before, right? This is a 1 millimeter deviation. A lot of deviation when you get down there, but not too much. So it looks like, out of around 2 millimeters for this object, it was able to align them. Now, obviously, right, so if you wanted to align these specific objects, the bottoms of them are flat. You could choose something like this and align this to, well, actually, we could just do it, right? You go to edit to align, and you say a surface point, world origin Y up, right? So you can click on something like this and you see it's now aligned upwards. You go to this object, you would do the same thing, world origin Y up, right, like this. And because these things are the same size, now that they're Y up, you would go align to the base point, world origin Y up, and that moves the base point there. And you would do this the same thing, align base point, world origin Y up. So now these things are absolutely, actually it's not. It looks like a little tiny bit. I might have rotated one of those. But, I can always transform that and, kind of do the trick where you bring your mouse way out here and you can make very, very fine little adjustments to move those, right? But that just because these have a very, very flat bottom and they're the same size, that's how the trick would work with this. But anyway, enough of existing things. Let's call these new things. So that's the align to target. You need to have two bodies, and one of them needs to have the little magnet turned on. Great. Unwrap tool flattens surface patches. So let me go in and get rid of one of these. Actually, just let me go in and keep with the bunny here. Replace and inspector to fix it. Okay, so let's say we wanted to wrap something around this bunny, like a piece of paper, right? We can go and make a little selection snake around. Actually, bunnies don't like snakes, but a little selection line like this. Not sure if that's going to work, so I'm going to unselect that area by holding Control and clicking. So there are some ways to do selections now where you can essentially unwrap the object. So first, let me kind of talk about what it says in here. New unwrap tool flattens surface patches. And then this asks you try it with unwrap. New SVG export can export meshes as SVG. Right? So if we go here to unwrap, actually, let me select thing here and modify create face group. Okay. And we go to edit to unwrap. Oh, it actually really didn't like that. I'll have to play around with this one a little bit more. Fix the bunny again. It was working when I played with it before, but essentially this edit to unwrap on this manifold object unwrapped this bunny. So let me get rid of the bunny right here. Right, so these are the two areas of the bunny. This is the foot of the bunny, which was very easy to unwrap, and this was the other area. You know, I need to play with this a little bit more, but you know, if you wanted to, you know, this is very easy because it's flat. But ostensibly, if you wanted to wrap the bunny in paper, you could use something like this to print this out and then wrap the bunny completely. I'm not sure if it would entirely work, but you would go up here to export SVG, and these little lines right here would get exported into something like an SVG file you could bring into Inkscape, for example. So I have to do a little bit more research on that one. Mesh query. I like this one. So let me bring in the bunny again. And well, I don't even need to fix the bunny. Okay, so this is a brand new tool. Under Analysis, we go up here to Mesh Query. Brand new. I love this. It's really great to take screenshots of this. Let me actually make this a little bit bigger. Zoom it in. We now have all these different things to look at our bunny. So let's start at the top. This is vertex position. So let me actually go here to View Show Grid. Okay, so this is based, as far as I know, as far as what I've seen with this, on where this bunny is in relation to the center of the grid, which way the vertex are. So if we hit the T key to transform this bunny and we move this over here, see this little red dot for the center, and now we go back to Mesh Query, right? It's which way these are pointing in reference to the cardinal directions. Well, in Meshmixer, Y is upwards, so the Z and X and Y, right? So let me go back out here and turn this bunny around like this, and go back into Mesh Query. You can see that the colors follow the movement. I mean, the colors stay the same, and the bunny is now colored differently. So it shows you which direction these vertexes are positioned. Surface normals. This one's even more useful. So if you look at it from this direction, you can see that a lot of these normals are pointing right in this direction, right? The reds are pointing towards us. If we go from the top, and we like zoom way out, most of the bunny is green when looking at it from the top. Zoom in. Blue from this side and red from this side. Right, so that's kind of awesome. It kind of shows you the different ways that your normals are pointing. And the normals, again, If you imagine a line coming straight out of this triangle towards, a perpendicular out, that's what the normal is. Aspect ratio, only very, very little down here. Not the best model for this. So I'll come back to that in the videos. Internal angle, haven't found what this is used for yet, so I will research that for you. Gaussian curvature, right? So let me go out here and smooth, draw some very curved. So we'll go something like that. Go back into edit to, or analysis to mesh query, Gaussian curvature. So you can see that this tells you where your object is particularly curved, right? So this thing that I just created, a lot of curving that comes up here, as this thing builds up. Sorry, I had to cough for a second. But this is very, very nice to tell you where things have to curve, or where things are curving, for Gaussian curvature and mean curvature. So mesh query, fun new feature. Let's go back here. New measurement-based scene scaling workflow in units dimensions. Let's look at this. Let's improve our bunny a little bit here. Improvements here to the measure tool, or the measurements tool. Selected measure, left drag. Again, left drag gives you some measurements here. Allows you to show what the real length of what different parts of your model is. And you can see it goes from point to point. So this actually cut through the bunny's head. But some very, very nice things inside of here. So I'll do some more analysis on this, but it helps you kind of understand different measurements inside of units and dimensions. Let's go back here. Where are we? Oh, new select intersetting action in select tool. This is one that's very easy to showcase. So let me go into the inspector, repair the bunny, transform it, hit the D key to duplicate it. And move it a little bit out. Great. So let me transform this bunny a little bit. Okay. So kind of kissing bunnies like this. So in the select tool, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to hit select, and I'm going to double click on this unselected bunny. Did anything happen? Well, let's turn off visibility of the selected bunny, and voila. I have selected the intersecting part in this bunny of this bunny. So super cool. So, other times you would have to do kind of a Boolean intersection to find it and then subtract it out. It was super difficult to find the intersecting areas of two things and do something with it. Now that is the intersecting area. Doesn't do anything with it. And I mean, not a Boolean, but you can now go in and, create a face group out of this and edit it. So very simple. For some people, that'll really, really, really help them. So pretty awesome there. Yeah, in smooth boundary, you now have, I'm not going to show you this because it's pretty self-explanatory, but you have preserved group borders in smooth boundary. So you didn't have that option before. So when you're doing a smooth boundary, you can actually, it won't blow away your group borders. And you can project to target the smooth boundary. So I'll have a different video on that. It's a pretty kind of cool workflow. But you can have a boundary that is smooth and then is projected as a tool, like a cutting tool, into a different model. Remesh. So let's go and bring in a plane for this guy. Replace. Get rid of the grid. Okay. So a couple things here. We want to go to Edit to Remesh. So there's some there's a new tool here that says Preserve Sharp Edges. Linear subdivision will always preserve the sharp edges, but if we go to Adaptive Density, pretty awesome, right? So before you had to give up the ability to have sharp edges when you did adaptive or relative density remeshing, and now you don't. You still have these sharp edges. Super awesome. So I've remeshed this and kept the edges sharp. Some people out there I know are probably dancing right now because they really like that. So that's great. Make pattern can now clip to active target object. So if you make pattern is a very complex tool, right? But if you have a target object, you can run the make pattern tool and on your the object that you're working on, and the make pattern tool will only do its make pattern magic on the target object that intersects with your current one. So pretty cool. So this is another really awesome one. Make solid updates to preserve sharp edges. So let's cancel out of this. I'm going to bring in the bunny again and fix it. I'm going to sculpt here with the pinch brush with a depth of -50 and a little bit bigger thing to make a really sharp edge. All right, so this is a super sharp edge right here. Normally, when you run the Make Solid tool, it just blows away that sharp edge. So let's see what happens. We're going to go to Edit. And this is true. Like you would run Make Solid for all sorts of reasons, but let's say, right, you had some issues in your mesh right there, and you just wanted to go in and say Edit to Make Solid. So it fixed those errors there, and it kind of got rid of the sharp edge, but it does actually a lot better. So solid type sharp edge preserve. Let's see what this happens now. We click update. This takes a lot longer time. So while this takes this time, we're going to go and highlight the fact that this does say that it is slow. But it did take a little bit longer. So we have this beautiful make solid effect, which repaired the bunny, did all of this stuff. And let's turn this off, center on this, and it preserved this sharp edge. Very, very awesome. So a lot of times the make solid tool, you just lost a lot of detail. But remember, this is slow. I have a pretty darn fast computer, and that still took about 20 seconds on this little bunny to preserve those sharp edges. So and this isn't even with a high accuracy or a high mesh density. So be forewarned. The last thing I wanted to show you is the last thing on here. I'm going to bring in a bunny and fix the bunny and duplicate the bunny. So this is another really awesome thing. So I'm going to bring that bunny over there. Get rid of this extra bunny that was created. So here's a really awesome thing. So I'm going to go into this bunny, and actually I'll do it on this bunny, and go to Edit to, and then the one that we're dealing with right now is kind of buried down here, but Pivot Drag Positioning Shortcut can now terminate on any surface. So let's see what that means. We're going to go here to say Create Pivot, and I'm going to create a pivot however I want. Surface point, great. So I click and drag, see it's kind of going on the surface. I'm going to drop it right here and say Drop Pivot. Okay. Now, normally, I have to drag this to some other target. But what I can do is I can now just drag this pivot, and now this is flying over the surface of another bunny. So this didn't happen before. You needed to drag this to another pivot or some other kind of known place. Now it just goes wherever. So I can really precisely align the head of this bunny with the head of this bunny, like this, and then it gives me the normal effects of do I want to pivot it? Do I want to translate and rotate? If I say translate only, then it doesn't flip it, translate and rotate. Or if I say flip, it'll just flip it back into position, right? So it's very, very useful for positioning things all around your scene. I know a lot of people would be very appreciative of that as well. So we're just at the end of the hour. Hopefully this has been a really good overview of just that change log. And I answered everybody's questions on here, as well as hopefully the ones that were asked at the beginning of the hour. And we're going to be coming out with a lot more kind of in-depth videos on all of these. I also want to put out just a public video showing kind of like a recap of this webinar, but being very targeted on these. So we'll send out an email on that, because I just want to help the community see what these new features can do. But I appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions about Meshmixer, send them to me in the next webinar, or really just contact me and I'd be glad to help. So thank you, everybody. And I will see you next month for the next webinar. Thanks so much. Bye.